start that up so old Davey doesn't forget. Hello, Corrance. Michael Lestuca, good to see you. And Boz Monster, how you doing? Chuckles, how's your beehive? Let us know. And Steve Stockton, good to see you, man. And Jay Breezy, thanks for coming on in. The gorgeous and talented Simply Coco is here. Make sure you give her a wave. She likes a good wave, people. A great way to support this show is through the Super Chat. And don't forget to ring that bell, hit that subscribe button. Geraldine Orozco coming up here momentarily. From the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. It is that time once again for the spiritual you, as our good friend Geraldine Orozco is back from Bay Area Meditation. BayAreaMeditation.com is her website, or GeraldineOrozco.com. Now, Geraldine researches the role of DNA as a currency of the past, present, and future. She describes herself as being a part of the consciousness and a catalyst towards the past, present, and future as well. A life-changing contact experience in 2013 really helped her see what was really going on in this world. Regressions uncovered a lifelong history of alien abduction. Boy, I can't talk tonight. Alien abduction and participation in human hybridization. Her life now is dedicated to the dissemination of knowledge of the hybridization programs and the correction of the commonly held dogma of the human genetic timeline, historical record, and human structure. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we are going to bring out the magic 8-ball, because it's that time again to get your predictions. We'll need your questions if you're in our chat rooms or on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, along with the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Geraldine Orozco, it is always a pleasure to have you on this show. Much love to you, my beautiful friend. How are you?
Dave, I'm fantastic. It's such a pleasure to be here as well, and I am so excited that it is the beginning of April. I can't believe we're already in April. And a major shout out to everyone that's tuning in tonight. All my love to you guys.
I have to ask, have you put your parka away? Because it's like over 70 degrees in San Francisco now.
Not quite. You never know. There's always April showers. And I actually love the rain, so I hope it keeps raining out here. Because I don't think we've got enough. I don't think we got enough rain this year.
Well, do you want some snow? Because apparently it's going to snow again here.
I'll let you tell me how that snow is doing, but I do hope it departs soon so you can enjoy the sun.
I went and played in the snow twice last week.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's not fun getting stuck in snow, because the one thing about snow, and, you know, the East Coasters of the United States would know this, and the Central and all of Canada would know this, but what happens is the snow is deceptive, because you think you're riding on the snow and everything is good, everything is starting to melt, and then something happens, like maybe you get stuck like Dave did 3 times, okay, and you go to get out of your machine that you're riding in, like I was, and you take a step and you sink 2 feet.
Oh my
2
God.
feet. And I'm like, what the heck is this? You know, like, we're in springtime here. I don't want 2 feet of snow. and snow coming into my boots and everything. It was crazy times, crazy times.
Wow, that is so amazing. That sounds like a lot of fun, though. I hope you take pictures. You have to share. I
I will
love
send
your
you
new
some.
picture, by the way, with your son, your profile picture.
Yes.
I love that. So
Yeah.
cute.
You'll notice the mud on our faces because we went and played in the mud.
So great. Such a good dad.
Yes. Well, enough about my personal life here and going to play in the snow and mud. As fun as that is, I could really talk 3 hours about that. We always have new listeners tuning on in, learning who our regular guests are, and you're a regular monthly contributor to this show, and we're so thankful. For you, you were a business person, very successful in San Francisco, California, until you had an awakening. And literally, you walked away from your corporate life in order to study everything from meditation to consciousness to hypnosis to yoga to really focus on the human side of life, something that many of us have forgotten to do. How has that change worked for you over the years?
That's a great question. For me, that change was progressive. It's not something that happened overnight. It happened through the course of probably about 10 years, really, for it to totally take place in my life. And I think that, how it affected me was, first of all, I thought in the early years that there had to be a separation between my regular everyday life, corporate work life, and spirituality. And it actually took me quite a couple years to be able to understand that we could actually merge and integrate that into our everyday life. I always thought that our spiritual work just doesn't match, because in order to be in the corporate world, in a corporate setting, a lot of times we have to be in a constant state of survival, kind of, running and getting to things on time and interacting with our colleagues, and it's quite competitive, right? There's a lot of competition in the business world. And I've experienced that really throughout my entire life, not just in the corporate world, but when I started my own business, really going into sales and having to design and create. But what I realized is that when I started learning about meditation and actually meditating every day, I started to see a change in how I was interacting in my corporate life. And it was incredibly beneficial. And at the time that I started my own business, I already left my corporate job. I began to kind of tap into some understanding of how to manifest the laws of attraction and how to be in a state of gratitude in order to attract these things into your life. And that kind of began to shift the way that I started to feel about the work I was doing. I started to see my clients differently, feel differently in my life. And, I funded Bay Area Meditation alongside that company. And what I found was that if I could just show corporate companies that it wasn't something separate, that they can actually offer their clients meditation at work, it really changes the whole dynamic in the office. You're able to focus more, and the productivity as a corporate, individual, as a professional, really is just magnified. It's intensified. You are more focused with the work that you're doing and producing, and more clear about your goals. So, there's so many, we can talk for hours about the benefits of that and how it affects you. But I experienced it myself. I mean, if it wasn't something that I experienced, I really couldn't, speak to it.
Do you think it was the universe calling you and saying, look, you've had a lot of success in your professional life, but now it's time to focus on what's really real?
Mm-hmm. You know what? In a way, yeah, but it's the universe through myself. And why I would say it not in that way is because I started to feel empty. I mean, even though it was like this, it was like I would set out goals for myself. And I've always studied about, how to be a good entrepreneur. I was very much into personal development, very much into how to be a successful entrepreneur. And I practiced a lot of the guidelines, to having schedules and goals and manifesting and what is it called, vision boards and all these things. But what I began to realize is that every time I would achieve something on my vision board, it wasn't fulfilling me. It wasn't satisfying me. Something was missing, right? And that's something that I hear all the time with the clients I work with now. And what was happening is that even though I was trying to fulfill something or achieve something, those things were connected to material things, physical things. And the fact of the matter is that I didn't know myself well enough in order to understand what I really truly wanted, what I truly needed, what was missing in my life. So with meditation, I began to really listen to that need, that real need inside of me. And I began to realize that ultimately, what I really wanted was love, in a sense, or acceptance, or understanding, or awareness of myself, acknowledgement of myself. And I had been going through so many different things, creating different things, doing different things, achieving different things in order to receive this love, receive this acceptance, acknowledgement through all of these external things. But they came out short. It was empty. It was not giving me that. So this is where I realized that without that internal connection, without the ability to provide yourself with that love, the acknowledgement, the understanding of yourself, everything else falls flat to that, and there is no purpose in anything that you do. So that was the key element. And soon enough, I opened as I woke up more and more. I was working in the event planning industry. It just seemed so empty. It's like these parties, these events, $1 million birthday parties and events and weddings, but there was no true emotion behind them. And it just caused me so much sorrow to see that, so much waste. And people that lack the ability to understand what true emotion is, So these are the things that really started to push me out of wanting to work in the corporate field and wanting to find something real, something true. And the first step to that was to find myself so that I can even begin to understand what truth and what real is. Because we're such a product of so many different programs, so many different ideas of what our reality is, that we are very disconnected from what is actually organic, what is real.
So for you, why did you answer the call? Many of us, whether it's changing our lives, quitting smoking, quitting drinking, quitting drugs, quitting medication, quitting eating junk food, whatever it may be, we all hesitate to make those big changes because the one thing we're really good at as humans is being comfortable. And yet
Exactly.
you jumped off a bridge, pun intended, no offense to anybody who that may affect, but you literally jumped off life's bridge and didn't know whether you were going to hit rock bottom or whether you were going to be able to flap your arms and start flying. And yet you have started flying. So why did you take that leap when so many others can't?
I think at the very beginning, the first answer is that I was tired of suffering. Right. And the thing, it's funny, we don't know that we're suffering, which is even worse. And that's the thing that we don't realize. And one of the biggest things in our spirituality and our spiritual awakening is the fact that, we would get to the answer so quickly if we knew the questions to ask. And it's the same thing for us when we're just learning to leave these corporate worlds, these old toxic patterns that continue to create suffering. But we are so familiar with them. Sometimes since birth, we feel these emotions of suffering and struggle and survival and fear and pain, that they've become the norm. And so until you touch and until you feel the contrast of that, you won't know that what you're experiencing and living right now is suffering and causing you pain. But it begins to manifest in the physical. You begin to get sick. I was depressed. I was exhausted. I was so tired. It was an exhaustion that I felt like even if I slept for a month, I would not even feel like I would be, fulfilled or rested. It was my soul that was exhausted, with this constant run. And so it wasn't until I stopped. And then I was overwhelmed with the emotions that I had been suppressing for such a long time. So that's the hardest part. The hardest part is stopping and feeling those emotions that you've been suppressing so you can even identify that you're actually suffering. Because a lot of us are in denial of that, right? We're in denial about the harm that we do to ourselves through our choices because it feels comfortable, because it's mirrored, where we're mirroring what others are doing in order to fit in, so on and so forth. And of course, it's our survival mentality. But when I decided to step away from that, then I began to realize that I had a choice and that there was something else. And I didn't know what was there, what was on the other side of that something else. So I had to become friends with the unknown. I had to face those fears, face the fears of those difficult emotions, face the fears of the things I didn't know that were coming. And from that work, create a really strong foundation of, let's say, myself. And when you're working with yourself, who you are, who you really are, without all of those old patterns that are so toxic and diminishing to your soul. And I think it was with that strong foundation that was being built over the years, when I cleared all of that old programming, it was so crystal clear that the next step was to live in truth. So once you're aware of all the things that you've been suppressing, and you face the fears, you face the pain, you're now experiencing and looking at truth. You're now becoming acquainted with truth. And that really takes you down a whole rabbit hole that really begins to put into question yourself, society, the structures of your reality, and the whole world, and the roles that everyone is playing. So, once you wake up at that level, you really can't close your eyes. And at that point, it becomes a very conscious choice to either be awake or not awake. And I think what that did for me was that it created a strong foundation so that when I took the leap, I understood very well the laws of manifestation, of attraction, of healing, and I operated in that place. And that space is a space of gratitude, of complete truth, of love. And when you're in those states, you have the ability of creating, manifesting without a state of fear. So I never needed money. I never was afraid of losing or fearful of not having enough or failing. Those things did not cross my mind because I was in alignment with what was true for me. And that's what was the most important.
What's it like to be in alignment with yourself? I mean, does that start with loving yourself, loving who you are? Is it releasing of guilt, releasing of anger? How does it start?
So the first thing is to become aware of the emotions that you feel. And most of us are running pattern programs. We have programs within us that are caused by the memory, the muscle memory in the body. So things that we experience as children, traumas, very impactful experiences throughout our life that cause fragmentation. What happens when we experience trauma, and how can we define trauma? Trauma is any time that we feel helpless or disconnected from the whole. Anytime that we feel helpless, we are unsure of how to handle or manage the unknown. So it's difficult for us. So we need to go back to those parts of us and provide information so that that part of us can now find itself, instead of feeling separate from the whole, to become whole again. And so we kind of go through our life doing that, reintegrating parts of us. And through that work, you become aware of the patterns of emotions that were caused. Because what happens is that we think that we have free will right now. We think that we're acting on what we believe, what we think is right. But everything that we believe right now is a program and a result of experiences that were learned. So if we go and we revisit those experiences, we might find now that our perception of those experiences were very limited. They were maybe based on survival or fear or something like this. So when you go beyond that and you begin to look at all the other possibilities, you see that maybe there was another way of seeing things, another way of doing things that's more holistic, that's more healthy for the body, that is better for your well-being. So if you continue going throughout your life, looking at all these patterns, if you would reach the very root of all of those emotions, you'll find that there are two main emotions that we deal with as humans. One is fear and one is love. And these two are the expressions of the duality in which we live in. They are the basic laws, the foundation of all creation. So we have that within ourselves. We have that within our expressions, our emotions, the ranges of the many emotions that we feel. And so we have to understand that. We have to learn how to identify those emotions.
Are we here, though? Are we really in control? Or is it just one big hologram in the universe?
Well, that is such a huge, broad question because, in a sense, we are a projection. So if we believe, or if we believe the idea that we're all holographic, we are holographic, even this entire universe is holographic, our entire body down to the cellular level is holographic. That means that there is an origin point of projection, right? So there is something that's running and informing what will be projected. And so all of that is being informed by our experiences. Everything is cause and effect. So something has to happen for something else to happen. So we choose. We are choosing through our experiences, through our emotions, what we're going to be a match to, what we're going to experience.
Geraldine Orozco from the Spiritual You at Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California is here. We got about 3 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour, Geraldine. So for people wanting to wake up and wake themselves up, what's your top 3 pieces of advice?
So begin to become friends with the present moment. Okay, learn what it means to be present. Present means to be completely, your focus is here and now. Your focus is aware of your entire body and what you're feeling emotionally and you're experiencing and doing. So if all of your senses are here in the present moment, you are already like one step ahead. You'll be able to identify what you're experiencing and catch any kind of reactive patterns that are not good for you. Secondly, become friends with fear. Everything that you fear, all of the negative emotions, everything that you perceive as negative, begin to work on. Become acquainted with that. And the reason why is because a lot of us, we don't know what love is. Okay, we don't know what that really is. But we don't know that because a lot of us are constantly running away from our negative emotions. If you become friends with negative emotions, you can then begin to explore what those opposites look like, what those opposites feel like. And that's how we begin to educate ourselves on what love is, what higher vibrational emotions are. And thirdly, we begin to understand how we can co-create and the laws of creation by understanding feminine and masculine. Everything is duality, cause and effect. So if you begin to understand that you are manifesting and creating through that duality, you can understand that you have choice. You have choice based on those experiences.
Interesting. Can we control the experience?
We can control the experience from an understanding that we are creating. We are creators, and wherever our emotions are, that's what we're going to project into our reality. So if we're coming from a subconscious place of fear, we're going to project that into the reality and experience more fear. It's going to show up in many different ways. So in a sense, yes, we can. But there are many other laws of co-creation, and we are enmeshed in one whole organism that we play a specific role in a whole. So in a sense, we have the ability to create and choose within some kind of higher, let's say, unified experience that we're all sharing here.
Interesting. All right. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. From BayAreaMeditation.com and GeraldineOrozco.com. It's Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You here on Spaced Out Radio. We always do this the first week of the new month, so that way we can get our Zen and our Chi aligned with the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco. We will be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we are clear. Let's see here. I love this comment by Cat Chaser. Geraldine is so good, I feel like I should pay her for her help.
Oh, That's so kind. Thank you so much, Kat.
People love you. People love you. Kirk says, listening to Geraldine is like talking to my old sponsor. That's a nice comment. That means he made it. That means he made it. George Hernandez, how are you? That's a good baseball name, George Hernandez. Good baseball name. I bet you played baseball, didn't you, George? Probably shortstop or second base. Maybe right field. Probably got a cannon of an arm. Dirty Filth, how are you? You know what, Dirty Filth? You gotta do some art about Geraldine. Barry Browning, good to have you here. So what's on the agenda for Geraldine Orozco's week coming up here?
For this week?
Yeah.
What do I have this week? This week I have well, not really much. I mean, I'm booked with tons of clients, and I have a couple radio shows coming up.
Nice.
But I couldn't give them a shout out yet. Yes, I'm not sure. How about you, Dave?
Oh, by the way, I did get an email from Zane.
Oh, uh-huh.
I did message him back saying, because he sent it to the wrong email, he sent it to my info account. So I just said, hey, anything we could do, just get back to me at my other account. Let's talk about it.
Oh, okay, for the Higher Self Expo?
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but you know what? If you're involved, I'll help out.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Yeah, it's a conference. We're going to be talking about science and spirituality.
Yeah. So not the type of conference I would be speaking at.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, I don't know what I would speak of. I'm not.
Of course you do.
No. Look, you can see my mouth moving now with the no beard thing. No. See, I'm animated. You couldn't tell that before the beard.
Very cool.
Cajun Jules, welcome. Happy Easter to you. With Stasmos Gras for all us Ukrainians out there who will celebrate next month. Jason William,
what
good
are
to
they
see
celebrating?
It was a belated happy Easter. But the Ukrainians, we're on the Orthodox calendar. We haven't switched over yet. We're still partying. Are
you Ukrainian?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you speak?
No.
Oh.
No, don't understand. The only thing I understand is a little bit from going to church for Easter.
Very cool.
Hey, Vintage Beard. Nice to see you, man. Eleni, I still didn't see your... what email did you send that to, or Facebook or Instagram or whatever? You said you sent me a note earlier. I didn't see your response. If you could repeat that, please, that would be cool. Oh, let's see here. All right. Big thank you to Cat Chaser and to Ken in Dallas, Texas, for donating to the Super Chat tonight. Really do appreciate the love and support. And have you ever been to Texas?
Yep.
I want to go to Texas.
Yeah?
Texas just seems like so much fun. Oh, main site contact form.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's a nice city. It just gets ridiculously hot in the summer, so don't go in the summer. Try to go in the spring or the fall.
All right. I will try and do that. Aaron Grosskopf, thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. Geraldine is on her game. Amazing, great guest. Yes, she is amazing. She is amazing, that is for sure. Can't even argue that.
Oh, that's so sweet. Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Yeah, can't even argue that.
So glad to see him here.
Is it Aaron or Aaron? Because he's got the
Aaron.
double A happening.
Aaron.
Are you sure?
Yes. Aaron's my friend. I know him.
Personally?
Aaron is amazing. Yes. He's an incredible chef, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron. All right, perfect. And Joe Dirte is here with the accent grave on the end of the E. Oh, You all have SOR family in Texas here. Right on. Right on. I want to go to Texas. Hey, Virgil, here we go, guys. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in. We really do love having you all here. We want to say that you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You. We do it on the first week of every new month, where we align our Zen and our Chi. And Geraldine's website, GeraldineOrozco.com, BayAreaMeditation.com as well. Geraldine, welcome back.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
So have you had any new ET contact lately?
You know what? I actually have. A couple days ago, I think it was Saturday or Friday, when I went for a jog. You know what? I was walking and I had those lights again above me. And this is actually now it's the fourth time that this has happened. But it seems to be three different crafts, three different lights that keep appearing above me. But that's not the interesting necessarily part. The part that's interesting is at night, after this happens, I had this incredible experience where I was just about to fall asleep, and I have this incredible vision of these mantids. And it's very interesting. I'm not sure why mantids are getting so interested in communicating and connecting with me, but I did see those. So it was impressive.
Okay, what's it like to see a mantid? For people who don't know, what do they look like?
Well, yeah, it's interesting you ask. I'm actually working with someone right now that's actually creating this incredible exhibition, this art exhibition in Las Vegas, that will be showing hand-drawn interdimensional beings. And one of those beings is this mantid, and we actually just created, she's an artist that will paint with you. It's almost as if you're going to, you know how the police do those sketches?
Yes.
You describe it to them. So she's doing that exact same thing, but for this mantid. And she is just incredible. I mean, when I talk to her, I just describe the being to her, and she draws them out. So as soon as that's out, I'll be able to share it with you guys. But you know, it's not exactly the way we think. These beings are kind of huge, and they are like half insectoid, half human. But they are very into the sciences, very into biological data and genetic engineering. And that's kind of their realm. They manage that. It's really interesting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a new being or species that you are getting introduced to? Is that kind of how they do it?
No, not really. I've had other experiences in the past with them, even as a child when I was taken, I think when I was at the age of 22, I experienced mantids that were working with a reptilian group. But this group of mantids is different. And this kind of group of mantids that came in, they're actually white. They look white. And I connected with them at a conference earlier, I think it's now 2 years, when I was speaking at a conference in Las Vegas. But they were downloading and helping me integrate information about holographic DNA that I received in my hypnotherapy, and I was presenting on that information. I was doing tons of research behind that, And it's funny because I connected with them and not because I asked for it, but just because in dream time they would explain and they would show me some things that the next day I would be able to research and prove, and find really amazing information on. But it wasn't until the conference that I was speaking with Mary Rodwell, and I tapped into her and I said, Mary, I'm kind of like want to make sure that I'm talking about what's needed to be spoken of today. I want to make sure I'm in alignment with the right information. And she said, without me saying a single word, just listen to what the mantids are saying. And they said, stick to holographic DNA. And it was unbelievable. I mean, I was so surprised that she was able to tap into that. Because, I always have this question of discernment, right? Like, who are we connecting with? Are these people mind controlled? Are these people really in the best interest of humanity and the information that they're providing? Or is it deception? I'm always very, very, very curious and sometimes skeptical about these things. But it's been an interesting relationship with them over the past couple years, and they don't appear all the time. I mean, this is very few experiences since then, right? But yeah, so that's what's happened recently.
When you get introduced to something new or a different extraterrestrial type experience, are you ever prepared for it? Do your guides or do other people or any signs tip you off that something is going to happen?
Well, I definitely am totally aware of my surroundings, interdimensional communication at all times. So, I'm quite sensitive to a lot of things that are in my realm that are non-physical. So when something big like that is going to happen, and there's a difference between tapping into ghosts, tapping into visions, because when I work with my clients, I have their ancestors coming in and out. I have their interdimensional aspects coming in and out of our sessions all the time, and I communicate with them in order to communicate with my client. So aside from that, these kinds of experiences really stand out because they feel realer than real life, and they also affect me physically in that I begin to have pressure changes in my ears, feeling pressure in my chest, in my body. I really begin to feel it as it comes in towards the night or when I'm going to have that experience. And I usually fall asleep incredibly quick. And whatever experience I have is way more vivid than just any dream or even any lucid dream that I have. And the next day, I'm usually extremely tired after that, and I feel like I haven't slept at all. So that's kind of, and this is not something that happens every night. Once again, this is something that happens, just very specifically.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I know Samantha Mowat has blue butterflies. Doesn't matter if it's in the dead of winter or on a warm summer night. When she's about to get contact, she gets blue butterflies. Do you have anything like that?
No, for me, it's mostly energetic. It's mostly energetic. And then, so more recently, this past year, it's been with UFOs, right? UFOs will appear, and like I just mentioned, what happened the other day, I just see these UFOs, and they literally hover above me and move along with me as I'm walking, and it's like we're interacting. Like if I communicate or I make almost as if I'm sending a telepathic message that I can see them and acknowledge them, then they either move or they leave. So that is very interesting. And I haven't really experienced that kind of a close interactive experience like that in the physical, in waking time with UFOs, really, up until the last few years. So that's kind of how my experience goes with them.
Okay. Every time you are taken, is it a different experience than what you've had before, or are they relatively similar?
No, it's definitely different because I have worked profoundly with contractual agreements. So this is something that's really important for experiencers to understand, that when we there is an element of free will in which we can choose to either continue interacting with certain beings or we can end those interactions with them. And I've worked a lot on these kinds of interactions in the hybridization program. And it wasn't until this very last year that I stopped having those kinds of experiences. My experiences have changed, and the beings that I interact with have also changed. Who I interacted with before were in the hybridization program, and who I'm interacting with now is more for information or exchange of information, not genetic information, but just actual information.
Okay, what's it like for people who may not understand to communicate with extraterrestrials?
What is it like if we are familiar with communicating with? Here's the thing. Let's have a clear understanding. I mean, ultimately, we create everything that we experience. So even these interdimensional beings that we interact with, they are a projection of ourselves on some level. So we are interacting with a fragment of ourselves because, again, we are one, we are whole, we are completely interacting with everything that's a part of us, an extension of us. So what it feels like is going to, oftentimes, even though it's unknown, it's something along the lines of our familiar belief systems, whether those are emotions or the way that we see things. So what it's going to feel like is oftentimes they tap into imagery that is familiar to you. So they can appear as angels, they can appear as, even Jesus, or even some beings or something that's familiar to you in order to interact with you. What will define the kind of experience you have is the way that you feel in that moment and your subconscious belief system. If your subconscious belief system is in a state of fear, oftentimes, your experience will be limited by that fear. If you are more in alignment with a state of understanding of unity and consciousness, then oftentimes your experiences will be a little bit more expansive. And they will not be limited to form. It will be mostly about an exchange of information as opposed to just a physical experience. So I can define it in a way, when you're in meditation, for example, connecting with your higher self, it's not that you're talking or interacting with something specifically, but you're having a telepathic exchange or something that feels telepathic. It's a non-verbal communication that occurs through all our senses. So we have 5 senses, right? So we can feel, we can sense, we can hear, some of us can feel. And those are the tools that are utilized in order to tap in and connect and communicate with these beings.
Okay. Now, for many of us, we don't know how to get to that level. I mean, even many contactees, such as myself, I couldn't tell you how to do it. I really couldn't, right? But normally I open up the questions in hour 2, but I'll get to one here from Eleni, who is asking, Geraldine, do these beings ever communicate in the language of light?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and this is one of the ways that we can translate information, right? So how the human, again, through our senses, we have the ability of translating information, right? We can either feel something, we can see something, we can hear something, or, through the body, we can even feel vibration, right? We feel the vibration of something. So light language is very much vibrational, energetic frequency. And we tap into that like light, and the color of that light provides a certain pattern of frequency. And our body can become very sensitive to that if we fine-tune the instrument of this multidimensional body. If we are watching a lot of TV or connected to a lot of technology at all times, more than likely, you will be very disconnected from the sensitivities of your body. So it's something that you have to be able to create over time. And the only way to do that is in silence, disconnecting from all of that so that you can fine tune, like a radio, you're tapping into different vibrational frequencies, right? Technologies have a very specific frequency. The language of light is working at patterns of vibrational frequency that are higher than what we have in this 3-dimensional physical plane. It's also higher than the frequencies that are emitted by a computer or a cell phone or a television. And what we're tapping into, these vibrational frequencies will come in as sounds, And those that can see or that are more psychic can perceive maybe geometric forms or colors or images of information. That's also how we translate light language. And it'll come in through tongues. It won't feel like our language that we know. It might feel like a combination of many earth languages, but ultimately it's a pattern of frequency and information that is encoded within that sound that we pick up on. And we pick it up through our whole body, not just by what we're hearing.
What do you mean, speak in tongues?
So, well, that, we talked about speaking in tongues for centuries, people that were speaking in tongues when they were having heightened spiritual experiences. But what that is really is that we're tapping into a different wavelength of verbal communication. So we verbalize the vibrational frequencies that we're picking up, the patterns of information. And because earth-wise, we're not speaking through a specific language. We're not talking about in Chinese or Russian or English or Spanish, but we begin to speak in this different tongue that is unknown. And that's why we say, it's speaking in tongues. It sounds like you're speaking in tongues. But you're tapping into a language that is a vibrational pattern.
Can you speak it?
Yes, I can.
Can I have an example, or is that putting you on the spot too much?
No, I can, but you have to give me just a moment to tap into that. And, I began to speak light language after I had a near-death experience in a couple years ago. And it just started to appear in my meditation where all of a sudden I started to speak in a language. And I have to say, the very first time that it happened, I was absolutely embarrassed. I thought that I was really losing it. And I decided to record myself doing it one day. Very shyly, I did that. And I found a friend of mine that claimed that it was able to translate this light language. So I got brave enough to share it with him. And I said, maybe, I don't know if this is light language. I didn't even know what it was right back then. So I showed it to him and I had him hear it. And he was able to translate an entire conversation that I had been having with my deceased grandmother, talking about just some information about our family that we didn't know about. And that was actually true. That was confirmed later. So that for me was just completely eye-opening, and I realized that I was tapping into some kind of vibrational frequency.
Out of all the times that I've had contact, I've never ever got to experience that. What's it like when you were like? I know what it's like to channel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
but what's
it's
it like
same.
what's it like to all of a sudden start using a language that A, you've never heard before, B, you have never spoken before?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's very, at first, honestly, to be honest, it feels embarrassing because, it sounds like you're just a crazy person babbling something. And oftentimes people feel very uncomfortable doing it. They feel silly. They'll laugh at themselves. But I think the thing to understand, and it's not to say that every single person that speaks light language is actually speaking light language also, because I know that it's somehow become a trend right now, and a lot of people are kind of just doing that. I think that you can really clearly see when people are, imitating light language and actually doing it. And sensitives and empaths will most likely be able to pick up on that just by tapping into what they're feeling by listening to it. So if you are going into really low, heavy emotions when you're feeling something like that, it's probably not so great. So it always has to be something that elevates energetically and that oftentimes will stimulate either emotions, colors, visuals in your mind when you hear it. It's like you can understand something. You're actually receiving information through that light language.
Is it like a download?
It is like a download. Yeah, it's like a download. Because it's imprinted with very complex information. So the very first time that my friend translated that information, it was a conversation with my grandmother that was talking to us about some kind of sensitive thing that happened in our family that was a little bit hidden. And, nobody wanted to talk about that. And she basically wanted us to understand that in order to understand one of my family members better. And if it wasn't for receiving that information, some things wouldn't have changed in my family. So it was a catalyst for change. So these things are imprinted with valuable information that's not only healing emotionally, energetically, but I believe that it really affects a whole other dimensional timeline of our physical bodies. As you know, we have multidimensional bodies, and all of our ancestors, all of those fragments of ourselves are aware in the present moment simultaneously in this current timeline. So we can heal and we can work with that information just by meditating or tapping into some of these tools such as light language.
The Michael Leger is asking, what state of mind do you have to be in to have this happen?
Oh, what state of mind? You know what? I don't even think that it has anything to do with the mind. As a matter of fact, I think it's something that is developed as a product of really heightening and deprogramming, okay? People that really tap into true light language have to be a clean slate, not programmed by any of these programs that inform fear or causing, limiting beliefs. Because when you tap into this, you have to be very comfortable with being in the flow. And that means that you are able to tap into your feminine aspect. The feminine aspect is non-judgmental. It's very fluid. It's very loving and accepting of what's coming in. And for a lot of people, it's a very difficult and uncomfortable energy to get into because we want to control things. We want to judge things. So all of those little subconscious programs, they have to be quiet in the background or completely neutralized, right? Aside from that, meditation and preparing the body to come into a state of complete neutrality is incredibly important, because one thing that happens with channeling as much as it happens with light language is that because we are so disconnected from our physical bodies, we can become a host to any other kinds of consciousness that is parasitic, that can latch onto us and function through us. And they can give out all kinds of deceptive information, confusing information, lower information, because it's going through the filter of the host, right? So if the host is not a clear channel, it can really bring in some kind of confusing information or some mixed information. So really, it's a preparation of mind, body, soul awareness that has to be prepared within this body. The body is an instrument, just like a radio dial. If it's just off one, dial in that tuning, it's going to sound, staticky, right? So if it's tuned to the right frequency, it can pull in the sound nice and clear, nice and perfect. So that's very much what it's like.
Except with the radio dial, you can control what's going on.
That's true. That is true. So discernment is incredibly important. How we control what we're receiving is through our discernment. And oftentimes when we connect to something, we're connecting based on our resonance. So it's an inside job, right? It's from the inside out. Your body has to be a vessel for truth fearlessly in order for you to tap into things that you can, that are in a high vibration. Because mind control is very much a thing in these realms, and you can't be naive to that.
Well, on that note, we're going to get you to hold on right there, Ms. Geraldine Orozco, from the Spiritual You here on Spaced Out Radio, as Geraldine comes in near the beginning of each month to set us up for some good Zen Chi and make sure our chakras are all aligned. Chakras, not chakras. Chakras. Soft C on that, people. Soft C. GeraldineOrozco.com. BayAreaMeditation.com. We will check it on out in hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio with Geraldine Orozco. Coming up next. We are clear. Hey, Millennium. Hey, Kian. How are you? Or Kyan? Kaya. Huh? Anyways. Geraldine, I'm going to run my puppies out. I'll be right back.
Great. All right. Me too.
Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Hey Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
All right. Old Davy's back. We've got 2 minutes here. Or less. I haven't figured that part out yet.
Rock out with Little Brother is watching.
No, we got a commercial going. All right. Chrismo, what's happening? Fapster, welcome. How you doing, buddy? Who else joined us during the break? Let's see here. Hey, Manuel, if you have a guest that you know what? I'll try and line something up for that, man. Oh, hey, Clam. How are you? That is a good topic, and considering we broadcast into that area on KZFX radio, it's good. So we should get into that. I know. Duke, we've rescheduled William Lunsford for April 19th, so 13 days. We'll get him back. Here we go, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say hello to everyone tuning on in, to those listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Obligation. Oblictation is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. From BayAreaMeditation.com, based out of San Francisco, California, we have Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. Geraldine comes in to discuss everything from extraterrestrials to our Zen and Chi and how to align our chakras. As we continue on with the Spiritual You, Geraldine, welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
You're very welcome. We like it when you're here. We really do.
Love it when I'm here.
Yes. Well, you've been doing this for almost 4 years now. Almost 4 years.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? I can't even believe it when you say it.
I know. It's absolutely awesome. And right before the break, we were talking about ET contact, what it's like to have that sort of communication and that relationship with extraterrestrial phenomena. When you look back on your experiences that you've had over the years, you know, I realize there has been some good experiences and bad experiences that you've had. Ones that you would absolutely love to have again, others that maybe not so much. For you, how do you decipher what is a good experience and what is a bad experience?
That's an interesting question. I think at this point, Dave, I don't really look at things as good and bad anymore. I kind of look at them as it's just a part of the whole. And because I've realized that I am the creator of everything I create, that we actually manifest everything that we experience, I've really, in my own life, experienced that change in what I'm seeing and feeling and who I'm connecting with. I feel that I have a bit more of a say in how I'm interacting with these beings. So, you know, I've chosen at this point to have very selective interactions with certain beings, and it's kind of manifested into somewhat of a support when it's needed for certain information. But again, I don't tend to get too stuck on the idea that what I'm connecting with isn't necessarily extraterrestrials. I think that, if we look back at our understanding of what we're seeing, our perception of reality is very limited. And anything that's not physical, everything that's outside or coming in a spaceship or from some other dimensional plane is going to look to us. We're going to categorize it either as angels, spiritual beings, ghosts, or aliens, right? Our mind doesn't have the ability to go beyond that. So what I like to do is to really question truly the filters of perception that I have in my subconscious mind that enable these kinds of manifestations to form in these interactions. And I try to look at it only as duality. Is something coming in as a high vibration experience or negative vibration experience? And all of those things are a direct projection of my belief systems, right? And it's the same for all of us. This is how we manifest our experiences. So no longer do I want to put it in a box that I'm connecting with aliens necessarily, but I'm interacting with some kind of consciousness that wants to interact and wants to exchange something with me. So the question is, what does it want to exchange, and what's my role in that exchange? That's normally where my question goes.
Okay, and do you get answers to those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes they're very complex answers. Sometimes they try to, kind of hide that answer or make it covert. But sometimes it's very clear that there is an exchange in awareness that through my understanding of something. So, for example, if I have a question about something, such as in that presentation when I was inquiring about holographic DNA, they are somehow feeding off my vibrational shift when I come into an understanding of something, because everything is energy. The exchange that we have with things is going to be energetic, right? So me as a whole organism, when I come into an understanding, my vibrational frequency shifts. Sometimes it goes higher and sometimes it can go lower. In that scenario, my vibration went higher. And so the exchange with them was that they were served from that shift in my energetic space. So this is how we go through these exchanges. I provide them with emotional information or other information, and they provide me with some kind of information.
Is it always that give and take?
Yes, always. And the reason why is we just need to understand the basic laws of creation, the basic laws of manifestation. We in this three-dimensional plane are experiencing through the three-dimensional plane. So even though there are other dimensional planes in which things are not managed by duality, because we live in this physical body, we are experiencing things through duality. So therefore, in that contrast, the way that energy moves through contrast, it doesn't disappear. It simply reallocates or moves and travels and navigates that contrast. So if I speak to you, you are receiving something from me. And if you're listening, I'm receiving something from you as well. There's always an exchange, cause and effect. So this is the natural law of exchange of anything and creation within this dimensional timeline.
To me, when I hear you say that, it doesn't describe the horrific experiences that some people have when it comes to extraterrestrial contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you can't control the contact and what's going to happen, how do you prepare for something that you believe may be positive, but in the end is very negative?
Mm-hmm. Or it could be the other way around. It could be experienced as something horrific and terrible and violating, but in reality be something very positive. But let's take a look at what the real question is, which is the control, right? To control these things. What is control? I mean, first of all, in order for us to have any control over anything, what's necessary? we have to understand ourselves and the environment or the scenarios that we're playing a part in. And so that takes a lot of awareness. It takes awareness of ourselves. It takes a lot of honesty of ourselves and to truly see ourselves without any filters or disguises or masks, so that we understand how we are being interpreted by the other party, right? And so all of that plays a role in how we're going to experience something. So if we look at the timelines of experience that we're here to experience, we create our experiences based on our belief systems. Those belief systems are created through experiences. Through those experiences, we basically are creating experiential agreements, because when we believe something, that creates, ultimately informs our experiences, and those experiences are experiential agreements, right? So in the same way, with these interdimensionals, and when we're interacting with anything in the non-physical realm, whether it's astral travel, projection, ghosts, anything on the outside of us that's not physical, we have agreements with those things. Those experiential agreements are informed with emotional and vibrational information that either makes us a match to those things or doesn't. And this is true for ourselves here in this life physical life that we're feeling here, me, myself as Geraldine, you yourself as Dave. But it also works in that same way on other dimensional timelines, because as you know, time is not linear. And when we connect with interdimensional beings, there is a part of time that no longer plays a role. So this being that we're connecting with could be someone from the future or someone from our perceived past that is here interacting with us in this moment, which means that at some point we have made an agreement to experience that. And where we make those agreements is by our emotions and the experiences that we agree to have. So those agreements are made in this lifetime, other lifetimes that we're living simultaneously. And so what we might think as something negative maybe was a cause and effect of something else that we're experiencing in another timeline, where we agreed to interact with, let's say, this very traumatic hybridization program, or these incredibly low beings that are trying to experiment on us. We have agreed to give them the body or that part of our body to experiment on. And really, we can't understand what is the ultimate truth of these things, right? Because our understanding is so incredibly limited. I mean, there's no way that we could ever possibly understand whether something is really life or terribly destructive, because we are limited by our physicality. And in this physicality, there's a timestamp that after 100 years, we're going to die, right? And so we're very finite in this body. But our essence is infinite. And so in that infinite, we have agreements to experience all kinds of things.
I know you've said this many a times on this show regarding these contracts that we make previous to our incarnation here on Earth on a soul and a spiritual level. I just have a real tough time buying into that when all of a sudden I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm being chased by alien grays.
Mm-hmm. How come, though?
I would say it's probably because, everything we do in our lives is about control. When we drive a car, it's about controlling the vehicle. We try to control our careers, control our salaries, control where we live. If we want a dog or a cat or a newt, if we want to eat meat or if we want to be vegetarian. I mean, we control everything that we do. And when you put yourselves in a situation where you're absolutely out of control, that's where we get scared. That's where we get fear. It's much like if you are, and this, thank God this has never happened to me, but I've never had a gun pulled on me. I wouldn't know what that feels like, to be looking down the barrel of a loaded gun. I don't want to know that feeling because I wouldn't have control of that situation. And I think it's a safety net. Control is a safety net.
But control is also an illusion. Because, for example, if you are someone, let's say this person is going to work every day. Let's say that he has gotten into a job where he has a manager that is incredibly micromanaging, and it may be even abusive. Maybe he always yells, throws things around, super emotional. So this person goes to work every day, and unfortunately, this person had such a traumatizing childhood that they have an incredibly difficult time speaking up for themselves. So they go to this job, they go to work every day, and for years and years, they become abused and abused and abused by this manager. This person doesn't know that that is wrong, that that's not okay. But because that's all he knows, that's his reality. So in his mind, he feels that he's controlling things in his world by, for example, when that person yells at him, he doesn't react, or he doesn't respond, or he doesn't do it, or he thinks that he's ignoring that person. So through his perception, he thinks that he's doing an amazing job creating this reality around him, but it's limited by his belief systems and what he knows. And yet, on the other side of the world, there's another person, let's say it's a replica of him, that hasn't had that trauma, living a completely different life, that doesn't even give one moment to work with this manager. So our idea of control is limited by our beliefs and our immediate experiences. And until we have the ability to move really beyond those limiting beliefs, can we even barely begin to see what's real? Because that kind of view of everything is really hard for us to have as humans. And that's actually what this entire spiritual work is about, coming into that unity or that way of seeing things as a whole, as one, is really hard for us because it's hard for us to go outside of ourselves. So these agreements to experience are based on basically only things that we are aware of within ourselves, and that can be very limited. So we can agree to experience all kinds of things from where we're at. And then the more we grow, the more we wake up, the more we become aware, that can begin to change. And as we progress, as we evolve, as we become more aware of ourselves. And it's the same thing on the higher levels with these experiences.
All right, let's get to Eugene's question. Geraldine, can you tell us about the illusionary veils of spiritual perception?
That's an incredible question. I mean, it kind of just falls exactly in what we're talking about right now, because, again, in order to see what is spirituality, I mean, spirituality has become such a cliche word that really, it doesn't really end up meaning anything. What is spirituality? I guess in my definition, or in a definition that one could say, is that it's the ability of becoming aware of yourself on the highest level. And the way that we have been programmed deeply to understand anything of the spirit, first of all, has been tainted by a lot of limiting beliefs through structured and organized religions. And a lot of these religions, and I respect all religions, of course, and I have studied many, not just studied, but actually followed a lot of these different kinds of religions to really immerse myself and understand the schools of belief. But when you begin to kind of go deeper into a lot of these religions, a lot of things that you find is that there is a limitation of understanding that kind of limits the way that you see the true spiritual aspects of ourselves as humans. What I think is most spiritual is what is in nature. What is nature? That's nature, to me, is an expression of spiritual balance, because that is, it's an exact function. It works exactly like math. It is imbalanced, it is intelligent, and it's conscious of that intelligence and awareness of all things around it. And, when we're dealing with these illusions of what spirituality is, what that is an inversion of truth, inversion of anything that's natural, inversion of anything that is creative, that is life force, that is vitality. So anything that inverts truth, anything that tries to manipulate or somehow change things is, I think, a veil of deception. And so that's something that we have to be very aware of in the spiritual community when we're looking for information or looking to learn at things, to be able to identify and discern when someone is inverting something. And the best way to know that is through your own personal understanding of your own emotional ranges, of your own self, and your own creative abilities. That's really the only way to be able to discern that.
All right. Princess Denali is asking, you speak as though you are channeling. If so, who is speaking through you right now?
Oh, no, nobody channels. I don't channel, actually. If I speak, it's just me, myself, higher self, present here. Nothing else. I don't allow anything or anyone else to channel through me.
All right. Let's get to A.A. Ron's question. Geraldine, have you ever had a DMT experience?
No. I am strictly very anti any kind of chemicals of any kind, including any drugs or alcohol. So for me, in my experience, everything that I've experienced has been solely through meditation, organic, and deprogramming.
Yeah, you're pretty clean. You don't even drink orange juice because you don't like pulp in your teeth.
Not quite. I'll get crazy sometimes and have some orange juice.
I have a glass of orange juice right here. That's what I'm sipping on tonight. And it's got pulp, and it's sticking in my teeth as we speak.
Nice.
But
I love that.
see, that's how different my rebellion compared to Geraldine's rebellion is. We have about 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You continuing here on the show. Geraldine, I mean, the audience putting together some very solid questions here for you over the past little bit. I'm not a big proponent of DMT experiences. I know that, for many, they believe that they are able to get in touch with their higher selves or even extraterrestrials that are riding it out on a different plane. But do we really need that type of indulgence in order to communicate with the spiritual side or the extraterrestrial side?
There's a reason why shamans, for example, have trained their bodies and their minds for years before they start using ayahuasca or mushrooms or any of these kinds of psychedelic tools, these medicines that they call it. And the reason is that in order to tap into these realms, you have to be prepared energetically. You have to know how to create energetic boundaries. You have to understand discernment, and you have to get to know yourself very well. If you don't, what you're going to be experiencing is going to be a magnifying all of that darkness that you haven't really dealt with within yourself. And so even though your experiences might be high vibration, you might tap into something, it's going to be very short-lived. It's like going and looking at a picture, taking a snapshot, visiting like a visitor, like a tourist, this very high spiritual realm. But there will be a lack of integration and experience through the body. We learn things and we evolve. We shift our vibrational frequency through all parts of the multidimensional body. So if you're only doing it through the mind and through that kind of chemical stimulation and experience, you're only tapping into one part of it, and you're missing the rest of the actual organism that is required to experience and participate in that spiritual thing. So there will be a lot of holes in your understanding of what you're even seeing and experiencing, as opposed to if you did the work, you would see things differently, and then you experience it differently. Also, what I'm extremely important about is that when I see my clients coming in, I can see their multidimensional body. I can tell immediately who has been using those things, because a lot of times they have fragmentations in their aura. and their multi-dimensional body. We'll be right back.
Yes, Geraldine Orozco, thank you so much. We'll be back with Geraldine and the spiritual you here on Spaced Out Radio when we come back from break right after this. Solid show tonight. Good questions from the audience. Solid show.
Awesome questions, yeah.
And, yeah. I'm impressed. I am impressed, everyone. Uh-huh.
I'm going to grab a little tea and I'll be right back.
You go
okay?
right ahead.
Okay.
By the way, if anybody wants to check it on out, I got a pair of shows that I need to do on Thursday. One I'm recording with Blue Line Bigfoot. I believe that's with Mondak in the chat room. And later that evening, I will, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. right before this show, I will be going on UFO Garage with Joe and Ben. Love those dudes. Really good guys. So Thursday is going to be a busy day. I will get to your questions, Grandmaster and Sig, right after this. Hi, the gorgeous and talented Amy Vegas. Oh, how are you? How are you, Amy Vegas? Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't understand your point there, Shelley Michelle Morrison. I thought you did, Grandmaster. Oh no, you just put a comment in capital letters. You fooled me. You fooled me. Geraldine. I think she likes a soft G every now and again. Geraldine. Hey, good night, Uncle Dale and his power stash. Oh. Thing about having people pull guns on you is that it's a lot less scary when the police are the ones doing it. Yes, I can believe that, Duke. Totally believe that. Where'd that go? There it is. Oh. Come on. Geraldine is from San Francisco. None of that, Boss Monster. None of that. Can't have that in the chat room, dude. I will bet you anything that Geraldine is sitting there waiting for me to stop talking, and she hasn't said anything because her microphone is on mute. Hey, Crow Creek, how you doing?
I am back. I'm back.
I knew your microphone was on mute. I knew it. I knew it.
I just got back.
Oh, yes. Geraldine's the only lady I know that does not own a pair of sweatpants.
That is not true.
She does not own a pair of sweatpants at all. Yes.
I'm wearing sweatpants.
I don't
with
believe
my
you.
heels.
Yeah, with your heels. Yes. She also has one bedroom that is totally dedicated to her heels. Yes, by the way, everyone, while we're waiting here, thank you. Mighty Moose Beard Oil. You know I don't have a beard right now, but this is also good for your hair. Go to mightymoosebeard.com. Get yourself some beard oil. And for those who don't have a beard, it's great for your hair. Just massage it into your hands. Oh, Gary, this True North blend. Gary, the Dutchman, who makes this. It's all natural, feels great, and it also is supporting Parkinson's. So we got to go. I'll talk more about it in a bit. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. Her websites, GeraldineOrozco.com, BayAreaMeditation.com. And Geraldine, welcome back.
Hi, Dave. I love your hair.
It is kind of messy right now. It is kind of messy, but that's okay. By the way, Steam Train Mark in Australia has let us know that we are alive in the future tomorrow, because he lives in the future. So,
wow.
Yes, we are alive. That's always a good sign.
Incredible. Shout out to Australia. Thanks for tuning in.
Exactly. We appreciate it as well. Let's start with a question here from Big Bad Sig in our chat room. He's asking, what's your thoughts about bloodlines? And I'm going to assume that's in regards to contact.
To contact? Okay, because that's a huge topic. Yep, bloodlines is a huge topic. So, let me see. When it comes to contact, first of all, encoded within our genetic code, within our lineage, is all of our ET aspects of ourselves that we are interacting with, whether in this lifetime or other lifetimes, this dimension, other dimensional planes. All of that is encoded within our genetic code. And as we activate parts of our DNA, whatever part of DNA we are activating is a vibrational frequency that operates on a dimensional timeline pertinent to that dimensional frequency that allows you to have access to whatever beings are manifested in certain form, whatever form it is in those dimensional planes. So for example, if you are activating your ancestral bloodline where you are holding on to reptilian energy or reptilian bloodlines, you are activating memory within the body that has experienced that. So you might tap into experiences or begin to recall experience that you've had in this lifetime with reptilians. And a lot of times, well, actually every time, contact is brought down through generations, obviously. So studying, when I looked into this further, because there were several surveys done, international surveys, including thousands of experiencers that were claiming their contact came down in the family. So for example, their mother had it or their father had it. But a lot of time this contact, it comes down our mitochondrial DNA, which comes through our mother, right? Because the mitochondrial DNA is an aggregate copy of the before. So we have all of those prior experiences are informing what we experience now. So a lot of people that begin to recall experiences, they begin to tap into some of the same beings sometimes that our mother was interacting with, or our mother saw or sees crafts. So what I discovered is that if we go down our lineage all the way back to our origin point, we can see where these bloodlines begin to develop into the different human races that are now populating Earth. But also encoded in that memory are all of the genetic modifications or expressions of other extraterrestrials that we have within our DNA. Ultimately, we are a cocktail of that DNA. So we have all of these different kinds of extraterrestrial bloodlines within ourselves. And so let me see, what else do I want to add to that without, overloading this information is that all of these different, so consciousness, when it manifests into a form in our three-dimensional plane, in order to organize that information in a way that a human can perceive it, the way that we perceive information and beings is through archetypes. So all of the extraterrestrial races that are out there fall into some kind of archetypal categories which are in alignment with vibrational frequency, which means some are lower, some are higher vibration, but it doesn't mean that they're specific races. They are all cocktails of different DNA that are falling within those categories of archetypes. So a reptilian can be very high vibration, and it can also appear to be very low vibration, in other words.
So there are family traits that lead to this.
Family traits, yes, there are. Yes, there are. Now, how do we know this? Because when I'm working, let's say with a client that has been dealing with really, really heavy trauma in the family, let's say specifically sexual trauma, okay? 99% of the time, if I look at their genetic timeline and their ancestral lineages, their holographic imprint will have a strong imprint of reptilian bloodline in their genetic code. And this will be expressed through all the generations until it reaches this, this person that's experiencing that. And so they can destroy and dissolve those agreements so that they don't carry that on to the child and end those contractual agreements by dissolving the root thought form that manifests into these beings within that bloodline.
Interesting. Okay. So does that mean, though, because I think for me, it would drive me nuts knowing that my children were continually being abducted. I think every parent would have that same issue as well. Can we control that? Can we end it?
So this is a difficult question, and a question that I get every single day from the clients that I work with. So when it comes to hybrid parents, and the way that we affect our offspring, our children, is holographically. Okay, because we are holographic beings, and how we create and manifest is through our subconscious belief systems and our subconscious emotions. We are affecting our children's experiences by what we are transmuting within ourselves. So let's say that throughout our entire life we haven't been able to feel love for ourselves. When we have children, we're going to pass that on, not just through our genetic code, but through a learned example. We're going to do things in front of our child that is not self-loving, and the child will pick that up, and she will learn that, and then she will carry that into her life. Okay, so these are the contractual agreements that we're talking about. In a sense, the child has made an agreement to come into this bloodline to learn self-love through a mother that didn't love herself, and therefore it continues this continuous ancestral pattern of behavior. So if the mother stops herself and begins to learn how to love herself, she will change the way she not only feels about herself, but acts and behaves. So now the child will pick up on that, and children are incredibly receptive, especially from the womb until the age of 7. They're like sponges, and they're completely energetically open, so they completely take on everything that they're feeling, not just emotionally, but through all senses. They're picking up information. So if you change yourself, you will affect at that moment in the child's development how they're experiencing you and how they perceive the world around you. You as the mother is an expression of the divine feminine. You as the father is an expression of the divine masculine. This also plays a role in how the child perceives duality and how they perceive sexuality, how they perceive their creative ability. So we can, if we begin to change those patterns in that same way, we can dissolve our agreements for some kind of interdimensional contact, and therefore our vibrational frequency is no longer a match to lower agendas. So lower agendas that are, continuing this hybridization programs, these very, all of these destructive programs that are parasitic, we can end them through our awareness, therefore changing what our child will experience. The child can also start by working on learning how to change their vibrational frequency.
How does that work? How do we change a child's vibrational frequency?
So teaching the child how to be aware of themselves and the emotions and why they are feeling the way that they feel. Teaching them to learn not to be afraid of the unknown. So when they see something that is perceived as scary or fearful, they can start working with the emotions that begin to come up and letting them feel that emotion. And I work with a lot of kids. I work with children every week. I have at least 10 children that I work with. And I help them feel the fear so that they can become acquainted with it and teach them the opposite of that fear. Let them explore what is available outside of that fear. So that's how they can begin to learn. And little by little, they train themselves to move out of fear quicker and quicker. So that when they're next to these kinds of experiences that are, frightening or even strangers or violence, they know how to act and behave in that moment. And immediately that awareness pulls them out of the vibrational frequency where they're a match to these things, especially on the etheric realm with entities, interdimensionals, all of these beings. They no longer are a match to that. They can also break their contractual agreement with these beings by saying, no, I no longer want to experience that anymore, and change that belief system that they have of being helpless or unable to control what they're feeling at that time.
All right, let's get to a question here from Michael. He says, I am told the reptilians are very nasty and don't like humans. Do you believe this to be true?
So I think it goes beyond being nasty and not liking humans necessarily. What I have seen in my work is that the entire human race was created by these original bloodlines, including a reptilian bloodline, which is a descendant of a draconian lineage. In fact, all races, including humans, are descendants of draconian races. And they are evolutionary expressions. Every new generation is a new evolutionary expression of these genetically modified beings. So reptilians are the next ones down from the draconians, or one of those. I mean, this is not all set in stone, right? This is looking at an overview of what we can see so far. Reptilians are somehow these manifestations, descendants of the draconians, and what the energies that they manage are, we see this expressed in many different things in ourselves. When we develop, when the fetus is developing in the womb, if you look at all the living organisms, they all begin looking like little tadpoles, right? The little zygote that begins to develop, all have this very similar evolution of manifestation into a human being, into a child. And so what's interesting is that the base genetic code for all living beings is the same. So even these reptilian beings, they also represent the reptilian brain, right? Which is the analytical mind, the one that is managing all the physical functions in the body. So they operate at the very basic fundamental systems of the human body and mind. And it's also a representation of the early development of the evolution of mankind. So we see that in our evolutionary process historically, from the beginning of time, since Mesopotamia or even before that. But we also see it in our genetic evolution, that they are the origin. So what we perceive as negative, we're looking at primitive, all the primal parts of the human evolutionary, timeline. And it's not that it means that it's negative. It's just a primitive, more primal part of the human. So that is going to be perceived as the sexual parts of us, the survival parts of us, even the emotional parts of us. All of those areas are ruled by this part of our physicality.
Okay. Who chooses to take you? Does your name go on a big billboard and say, okay, today Geraldine qualifies for the Mantids, only the Mantids this week, people?
So here's the thing that I think we often have a really hard time talking about, and it's the fact that if you really look at the numbers of people that are having conscious experiences and the way that they have conscious experiences, the way that they describe the technology that is being utilized in those conscious experiences, I don't see why the other half of our entire human race isn't having experiences that they can't remember, So I think, and even further, if we look at our entire genetic timeline, and, historically, the role that these extraterrestrials, quote unquote extraterrestrials, interdimensionals play in our evolution, and historically, I really feel that this is not something new. Everyone is actually experiencing these kinds of interactions, I feel. So those of us that are aware of it are sometimes a few in comparison to the total, percentage of the human race. But I think it's in alignment with their cycle of evolution and a certain select number of people that are ready for that information, to bring that information in. So I don't think someone gets chosen. I think that we are all experiencing some of these other dimensional planes. All it is interaction in other dimensional planes. It's not that they're, necessarily extraterrestrials. Again, that's our perception, because this is the only way that we can define what we're experiencing. But there is only 10% of our reality is this physical part. We are massive organisms that are interconnected with other dimensional timelines. So in dream time, you're really active and you're interacting with all kinds of things that you might not be aware of, and even in death, you're going to be interacting with other things that you're not even aware of. So,
That opens up the mind to a number of questions. Very much so. Sorry, in our chat room tonight, John says that he misses my beard and it's made him mad.
Oh, no.
That I shaved my beard. Yes.
Well, Dave, your hair grows back so fast,
yes.
So it won't be long.
Well, Ange in Australia said I have nicer hair than her, but I had to follow that up with saying she had nicer cheekbones than I have.
Nice.
Yes. Because I literally have none. I have these two chipmunk sacks on the side of my face here. Anyways. So anyways, Geraldine, we have about 5 minutes here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour with you. If we can't control when this happens, how this happens, what experience we are going to have because of genetics, DNA, life contracts, soul contracts, it comes down to control for me again. Are we in control of anything?
I think the bigger answer to that is no. Because we are fractals and fractals of self-similar organisms of creation. In our physical body, we are functioning, through things. Things are all cause and effect. Everything is kind of operating at balance. In nature, on this planet Earth, everything is operating in balance. And in the greater universe, there is also a certain balance to things. And even though there are laws of creation and I guess the science of the universe, which is beyond our understanding of science, things are moving according to certain laws, and some of which we can become aware of, but others of which would completely transcend our limited understanding and beliefs. So I don't believe that we really have control over that larger picture, but there is something within us that is free will that we can have access to in order to choose the experiences that we're experiencing in this timeline and in other timelines. And the more and more awake that we become, the more aware of ourselves we become on those other dimensional planes, the more we'll be able to choose what we're experiencing next based on what we are in the now. And that's the most important thing to remember. You have control over what you're experiencing in your life. You have control over what you're creating in your life based on what you are here and now. So just keep that in mind. If you're constantly fearful, doubting of yourself, mistrusting of yourself, you're just going to create more of that in your life. Those are the laws of creation. If you're in a place of co-creation and love and acceptance of yourself, you're also going to be creating that. And the way that that manifests is in a more fluid and expressive way. So, and I know that because I've experienced that. I've exercised that in my life. I've seen it and I've proven it to myself. And I know many that have as well. So it's just a matter of understanding that. But if you're going to ask the question in the bigger picture, can we control things? And the answer is no, because we don't know what role we are playing as an organism in the larger symphony of the universe. I guess that's something that, it's just part of experience.
How do we define that experience, especially with free will?
So the idea is to try not to define any experience and just experience it for the sake of experiencing. This is how we inform. This is how we learn, right? And this is how our organism, as a human organism, which is, imagine yourself as a little, an engine of experience that informs the greater whole. And so on and so forth. Every single one of those aspects of itself is informing the whole, and that's what consciousness is. It's infinite experience, infinite possibilities in that infinite consciousness.
Oh, that word infinite. That is so forever. It is so forever.
True.
And I got to tell you, it's very interesting as we go down to our final minute here with Geraldine Orozco. We have her for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio in Hour 3 to kick things off there. Geraldine, where do you get your information from? And this is a question that we may continue on through the front of the break.
Where do I get what?
Your information from.
So, the information that I have is through my personal exploration of my inner subconscious mind. So when I deprogrammed Earth programs, I was a clean slate in which I was able to begin to question the laws of creation, the laws of myself and my environment. And this is how I began to understand things that were outside of my physical body.
All right. When we come back, we're going to continue on the free will. We're going to continue on trying to figure out this whole consciousness thing and whatever else that deals with aliens because, well, you know, we like our aliens around here. We really do. Spaced Out Radio with Geraldine Orozco continues in hour number 3. Coming up next, her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to play with the Magic 8 Ball. We're going to start warming it up here right after this. I'm just going to run my puppies out. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. See you soon.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural.
Let's get rid of Everett. Let's go here. And, yeah. Geraldine Orozco. We got another couple minutes here.
Hey, I'm back.
Don't worry. We got like 2 minutes.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Hawaii sounds good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when's the last time you went there?
I've never been.
No way.
I've never been.
Wow, you gotta get out there sometime.
There's an ocean there. You know what's in the ocean? Sharks.
What?
Sharks are in the ocean. Poisonous snakes are in the ocean.
So is this something that you are afraid of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I have no problem saying that. Now, I'm not one of these people. As much as I have a fear, I absolutely adore sharks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not willing to do that. All right. Geraldine, hold on 1 second.
Okay, yeah.
Mighty Moose Beard Oil, by the way, is putting on a promo right now that every purchase that we make on Mighty Moose Beard Oil at mightymoosebeard.com, they will donate a portion of that proceeds to Parkinson's research. Now, our good friend Gary the Dutchman, this hits home very close to him, and this is one way that he can help raise money. They are trying to raise money. So if you can and you want some great beard oil or hair oil, just go to mightymoosebeard.com and use promo code SOR2019. It's going to a good cause. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Abduction. Abduction is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. She comes in the first week of every month to align our chakras and get us ready for all sorts of ET contact. Geraldine, welcome back.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. I got to ask you about this free will stuff. Now, we're supposed to have free will, according to everybody that I've talked to who is into the woo, into the zen, into the chi and spirituality, yet it seems like we don't have control, as we've talked a lot about on this show tonight. So what is the difference between having control and being able to live with free will?
Well, one of the most important things about free will that's really interesting to really kind of think about is that the only time that we actually have free will is that when we're aware that we have it. And in that awareness, it allows us to understand how we can apply it. And So when you understand that, you see a tremendous difference between control. Free will, so let's look at control. Control means that you are trying to direct how the end result of something is going to be, or how you're going to experience something, but that's from where you're at, based on what you know and what you want the desired result to be. So those things are all limiting, and they're also very contrasting, because even though you might think that you want a happy result, and the things that you're doing are going to create a happy result, you're going to be disappointed if the way you go about that is from a place of not happiness, but fear. For example, let's say if you're in a state of fear, or you're doubting yourself, and you still think and you hope that you have a happy result, you probably won't have that happy result, because what you're not understanding the laws of creation. What informs experiences is the subconscious beliefs, not the external wishes, dreams, thoughts, those things. And it also really helps us differentiate the difference between intention. You know, what intention is. Intention is really the vibrational charge, the emotional charge that is being put into something. And we direct this intentional emotional charge into something based on a clear understanding of what we are as a whole. If we don't have that clear, then we're creating from mixed information. We're creating from parts of us that are not aware yet. And so that's going to end that result in something that we don't want, not in a favorable. Free will is the ability to, in a sense, know that you have a choice of how you're interacting with something. So let's say that you are experiencing a very traumatic experience. Now, you can either suffer in that experience, or you can know that this experience is temporary. It's also a result of cause and effect. It's a result of other experiences in your life, and even beyond that life, that have led up to that moment for you to experience that. And in that moment, if you decide that you're going to experience that, but not fill yourself with pain, suffering through that experience, you begin to shift what you're going to experience. And you do so without any expectation. So what happens is you can be in the same room where there's a lot of trauma and problem and chaos, and normally that experience would cause you to feel helpless, desperate, and in pain. But if you apply your free will, you can choose to not experience that. And immediately it will shift what you're experiencing. You will begin to perceive what you're experiencing different. And instead of seeing pain, suffering, maybe wrong intention, you're going to start looking at things maybe through compassion. Maybe you're going to start seeing things as, okay, this person is suffering themselves. They are playing out roles that they have learned. And so they are a result of cause and effect. And so now you are not tied to a category of behavior and cause and effect. You are now creating your experience. Now this moment can shift into just an observation point where you are learning, observing something, not taking it in as a part of yourself, not engaging in it in a negative manner. And so little by little, experience throughout your life, every single moment throughout your day, you now become a creator. You're no longer tied to the laws of cause and effect, karma, in other words, what we call karma, and suffering. You're choosing to, in your body, experience neutrality, peace, calm, balance, and this is how you begin to go through life. And when you practice that, your vibrational frequency completely shifts. You are now the embodiment of this peace, of this serenity, and you can now, you are going to see that in your life now. You're no longer going to be looking through the eyes of pain and suffering, but a neutral perspective. This is what it means to have free will. This also goes into your dream time. It also goes in at the end of your life, defining the vibrational frequency that you are when you detach from the physical body. It will dictate what you experience in your next lifetime. And this is something that the ancients, they knew about. You know, this is why in ancient Egypt, in all the ancient pyramids and structures around the world, focus so much around afterlife exercises, learned how to work with the soul that is not in the physical body, but beyond the physical. They knew that what you're creating in this now moment affects what you're going to be attracting and experiencing in the next moment. So when you become aware of that, you now have become a really powerful creator. Not only is your body healthy, vitality, and is tapping into this longevity energy, but it is sustaining yourself and all things around you in complete truth and awareness. And that's very different.
Okay, so how do we maintain our free will if we have other beings or entities or sentient beings that literally have the option to take control of us?
So, and that's an incredible question. And that's the one question that I had in my early journey trying to understand exactly that. Because when we look at your question, the question is, what do we do when other beings that also have free will come into our space and they try to affect their will on us? Then where is our power? So that means that we're looking at ourselves as powerless in that moment. But the thing is that we're looking at things through the eyes of separation. Ultimately, we are this other entity. That entity is us. There is no separation. The way that we experience things is by resonance. We come in contact with people based on our belief systems, based on what we need to experience, what we think we need to experience. When you're walking down the street, you'll notice that even people around you, even if they're strangers, if you would stop for a moment and get to know them, you would have similarities within you. There will be a match, a complement. There will be something that is mirrored within that person. And we experience this throughout our entire life. As these organic beings of experience, we're constantly moving in and out of these experiences with one another. This is how we are grouped together in our families as well, by resonance. So let's say extraterrestrials, these beings come into our plane. They come into our plane, first of all, because we have it encoded in our genetic code to experience that. But on the bigger picture, we are in resonance with those beings. Some part of us is curious about this kind of interdimensionality, this expression of consciousness. So we attract that in our realm. The thing is that we are unaware of what our subconscious mind really believes. We're so disconnected to our body. How can we possibly know what is actually present and creating in the subconscious mind? So in order for you to be aware of your free will, you have to be very aware of your mind and where it's at all times. Right? We can't go into any moments of hypnosis when we're like driving or watching TV or doing any other things that distract us from our physical body, because that's when we go into the actual functions of creation in the subconscious mind.
I like Nikki's question here in the chat room for you. So what happens when someone else screws with your free will, say via black magic?
Mm-hmm. So again, that's another wonderful question that I had early on. And again, we keep looking at things as if we are victims of our lives without understanding how we ended up in that experience to begin with. First of all, the people that we interacted with in order to have some kind of connection that is now doing this black magic on us, there was some point before you met them or during meeting them that some kind of flags, red flags, or your intuition said something about that connection to you. And I bet that you did not listen to that intuition. Most of us don't. We don't tune in to the intuitive information that is available to us. And we end up unifying ourselves, connecting. We end up, getting into relationships with people that are not in our best interest. And we know that, we know it, but we do it anyway, because a part of us needs something from that exchange. So it's going to end up eventually at some point in these kinds of negative experiences, like, for example, they want to do black magic on you, and now this experience is going downhill, right? So the thing is that there's an origin point to all our interactions, and there is at some point a moment where we have a choice of whether we interact with this person that's in alignment with us or not. The key is that we have to be completely aware of ourselves. We have to be aware of why we're making the choices that we make. Is it the ego that's making the choice? Is it the suffering child, the person that doesn't feel love, the person that feels lonely, making that choice for you? Or is it really your true essence in alignment with all yourself? So most of the time, the answer to that question is all the other except the self. And so this is why we engage in these experiences. And this happens in our physical life with our family, friends, and it happens in the etheric realm as well.
Let's get to Shelley's question. I feel all is connected, yet how can a sibling with the same DNA have so much cruelty to their own sibling at times? Older siblings often.
I'm sorry, so the question was, why are older siblings cruel to us? Is that right?
Yeah, if you share the same DNA, how come one can be very nice, very positive, and the other one be very cruel, demeaning, mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all has to do with perception. So all of you came from the same mother, the same father. Well, in this scenario, we're going to talk about that. The example is that we all come from the same parents. So the children picked up on all of those lessons from the father and the mother since the womb until that moment. So that being said, the way that they perceived things is going to be slightly different, but at the root core, they're all going to have taken the root belief from the mother and the father, whatever those beliefs are, of how they see themselves and others, how they feel about themselves in the world. So those children can be expressing any one of those belief systems. So for example, if the mother did not love herself and she accepted a father that was abusive or not so great, for example, and not so supportive, she will have, demonstrated that to all the children, and one will really feel that and play that out in their life. Now, another one of the children will also perceive that, but they perceived another part of that where, they picked up from the father, so they will play another role that is being demonstrated in the family. So if you really look at your family and you look at the siblings, if you really begin to understand why they behave in that way, you're going to see that there's a root emotion to the way that they're feeling, okay? And it's going to be the same one. They're going to have similar feelings about themselves. When you identify that and you begin to support the children in what they actually need in order to not feel that way, there will no longer be that kind of chaos anymore. Because oftentimes children feel neglected or unseen or competitive with one another, and this is a direct product of that was learned from their parents. And they're playing out either one of those roles, either the mother or the father. They can choose which one to play out.
All right. John is asking to talk about free want versus free will.
Free want versus
or
free will.
Free won't instead of versus free will.
Well, I'm not sure what the difference is there, or if that's an actual term, but let's take a look at that. Free will is basically that you are choosing to do something. Free won't basically means that I guess you don't want to do something. Is that right?
I don't really get the question either.
Okay.
I just ask them,
okay.
and I hope and pray sometimes that you know what the person is talking about.
No problem.
John's pretty smart though, and I would say this because he comes from a very scientific background as well. I would say this that he's probably asking, with free will, free won't would be the polar opposite of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So maybe not wanting or choosing not to is maybe what he's talking about.
Maybe.
I guess, which is an interesting question. I mean, the way that I would look at that is either you want to be aware of yourself or you don't. Either you want to be conscious or you're not. And we're in duality. So of course we're going to be experiencing either one of those polar opposites. Either we are going to be able to tap into our creative energy, or some of us just won't want to. And that's actually, unfortunately, the majority of the human race. Sometimes it feels like a lot of work to tap in. It feels more comfortable because it's more familiar to be in a constant state of suffering or whatever emotion it is that you're used to, and sticking to that, as opposed to going outside of your comfort zone and then being a creator, But what we don't really realize is that when we come into a state of creation, when we apply the free will, this is also a manifestation of perfect balance within the body, and it creates vitality, well-being, and it is pro-life. It is an expression of creation, which means it's creative, it's pro-life. So, that would be the difference. One would be destructive and the other one would be creative. So I guess it's just a choice. There is no right or wrong of whichever one you wish to experience in this current time. And I hope that kind of addresses what he's asking.
Well, we'll soon see here. And he goes, I'll send you the paper on it. I'll send you the paper. And, as we have about four minutes to go here until we are about to say goodnight to you tonight, looking towards, 2021, where things seem to be up and down, in the U.S. and in Canada regarding COVID and everything that's kind of taking place. How do you try and find balance with society right now?
How I have experienced incredible, challenges myself in all of this shift. And I know a lot of people have as well. And it's very interesting because we have been pulled out of our comfort zone globally, to the point where we're having to redefine our values and what is important to us. And what I've discovered in this journey, in this time, is that what's important to me is free will above all things. Okay, so my ability to choose my experience at any time. And so what that has kind of done at this point is to make me realize that, we create what we're going to be experiencing. Some people are attaching to certain belief systems and it's causing a lot of suffering. And there's other people that simply won't attach to those beliefs and they're experiencing a lot of joy, a lot of expansion. So what I see is that for me, what I value is health and well-being for my body. And so what I want to do is attach to those beliefs that do not cause me suffering and fear and pain. I feel that that is the key, not only in creation and the laws of creation, but in creating wellness, well-being, and vitality for my physical body. So that's how I discern and I navigate what's happening right now. I definitely do not get attached to anything that pulls me down. And it's not a matter of denying what's happening. It's becoming aware of it, but working with any fear that comes up and observing it, acknowledging it, and then continuing to choose forward what I need in that next moment to help me move through. And so if you can just help yourself each moment, that will really help you navigate this time right now.
90 seconds to go. What's your next few months look like here, as I know some of these conferences are going to try and run with people taking part?
Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking at the Higher Self Expo in July. I believe it's 17th to the 18th. Please do check that out. And then September 24th, I'll be speaking at the Wisdom Con, which is a conference that I'm producing. So I really hope to see you guys there. Please RSVP, check out my websites. And also if you're looking for higher healers that are there to support highly vetted practitioners in all kinds of realms of shamanic energy healing, check out higherhealing.com where you can find those healers. Please do also subscribe to my YouTube channel at Geraldine Orozco. And I really look forward to connecting with you all if you are looking to get hypnotherapy or a DNA reprogramming session with me in order to help you change your life and support you.
And we encourage our listeners to do that as well, to head on over to GeraldineOrozco.com, BayAreaMeditation.com, and if you're an ET contactee, you can hit her up at hybridchildren.com or Hybrid Mothers?
Hybrid Mother. Yeah, thanks so much, Dave.
Hybridmothers.com, because we want to make sure that you get the right information, which is why we bring in Geraldine once a month on this show for the spiritual you, and we absolutely love her and thank her. This is like 4 years we've been doing this each and every month. Geraldine is such an important part of what we do here on Spaced Out Radio, so make sure you check her on out. GeraldineOrozco.com. Coming up next, I'm going to start warming up the Magic 8 Ball, see what kind of predictions we could get, and the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. We continue right after this. Fantastic show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Davey. Much love to you. Have an amazing month, and I will see you next month.
All right. Well, we'll talk here in the next couple of days, I guess, right?
Yep. You and I will talk. Absolutely.
All right.
Much love. Bye-bye.
Much love. Bye-bye. All right. Mm-hmm. Geraldine, everyone. I love her. I do. Make sure for the Magic 8 Ball, you get all of your questions. Put them in capital letters if you don't mind. And I want to say a big thank you to Project Blue Book, Ange in Australia, Sig Sauer, Aaron Grosskopf, Cat Chaser, and Ken in Texas for an amazing, amazing night of Super Chats. We really do appreciate it around here. Damn hair. And for those who were wondering about William Lumsden last night, wondering what happened, my internet in my community went down, and that's what kind of canceled out the show last night. We have rescheduled William Lumsford for Monday, April 19th. So that'll be really, really cool to have him on again. And I felt so bad about that last night. I really did, because we were having such a fun time. But you know what? The good news is we get to have fun all over again come the 19th. So I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hello, the Philip Blair. The Philip Blair is here. Dirty Filth. What's going on? Mm-hmm. Got a couple of minutes left here. Philip Blair, we couldn't get there. There's still about 3 feet of snow on the road to get there. And so we got turned around and could not get anywhere close. Bonjour, Julien. So we're probably still 3, maybe 4 weeks away from getting there, depending on how much more snow falls. Like, we're supposed to get snow again overnight. So, yeah. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Let's warm up the Magic 8 Ball. All right, we're going to take some questions from our audience around our chat rooms and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. We're going to start off in Australia tonight with Ange, and she is asking, what if you create karma because you deviate from what you're supposed to do? I don't know, because the Magic 8 Ball is yes or no questions. Although Ange does get a free pass on that one because she said I had nicer hair than her, which is very true. At least I can only see by photo. But she has nicer cheekbones than me. So we're just going to give her the free pass on that for the compliment on my hair. Grandmaster is asking. I'm not going to ask that. Not going to ask that. Guys, this goes on terrestrial radio, so let's keep the questions PG if you do not mind. Yeah, that one, old Davey could get in trouble for asking. You know, it's just not the right question that we want to have on here. And let's see here. Moving on down. Maybe we don't have any questions for the Magic 8 Ball tonight. Maybe we don't. All right. Magic 8 Ball from Fapster. With all that hair, what does Bigfoot do about those pesky dingleberries? Does Bigfoot have a problem with dingleberries because of his fur? Good question. We better ask the Magic 8 Ball. Fap, you're kicking things off here. And let's flip it on over. And the answer, because, you know, this is an important question. Does Sasquatch have dingleberries? Sensors read no. Sensors read no. So I'm going to assume that he probably finds a bunny hopping around and, well, you know, better than poison ivy. And that's how old Bigfoot there is able to keep himself away from the dingleberries. Philip Blair is asking, does Dogman get along with Catwoman? I don't even know if they know each other. Let's find out, Magic 8 Ball. Ask again later. Magic 8 Ball didn't like that question, Philip. Magic 8 Ball did not like that question. All right, let us move on here. Let's see here. Crow Creek is asking, and this is because a week ago I actually shaved my beard. I shaved about 4 inches of hair off my beard. All right, Magic 8 Ball. Crow Creek wants to know, does Dave look better with a beard? Oh my gosh, I'm actually nervous about this question. Nervous. Here we go. Not today, Sheriff. Not today. Yes. 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 Magic 8 Ball is liking the fact that I shaved my beard and gone to more of a stubbly type look. Dirt Road is asking, am I going to get the house I'm looking at on Friday? Is it the right one? Is this the right house for Dirt Road? Real estate question here, Magic 8 Ball. We're dealing with mortgages and down payments here and a hell of a lot of good insurance. We need an accurate answer, Magic 8 Ball. Yes and beyond, Dirt Road. You really like this house. This is the house you want. Probably went on the realtor website, planned it all out, and said, you know what? That's Dirt Road's new house. Guess what? There it is. All right, Grandmaster wants to know, Magic 8 Ball, I have a question. Am I awesome in your opinion? Now that's Grandmaster asking if Grandmaster is awesome in the Magic 8 Ball's opinion. Let's find out, shall we? Ask again later. I don't think Magic 8 Ball likes a lot of smart-ass questions here, people. Although it did like the dingleberries. All right. Jules is asking, Magic 8 Ball, will there be a recorded mass sighting of a UFO? Let's see. And what's funny is I just have an edge, like the top of an edge. Hold on. Come on, Magic 8 Ball. Let's do this thing, man. All systems go. Could happen. Could happen. Don't know when, but it could happen. Let's go to Michael's question. Nope, we stay away from politics, Mike. Not going to ask that one. All right. Duke wants to know, will the internet go down once again the next time William Lunsford is on talking Bigfoot? Gosh, I hope not. Absolutely hope not. All systems go for the internet. We're good to go. We are good to go. Thank goodness. John, who usually wears a Stetson while listening to this show, is asking, Magic 8 Ball, are all the alien abductions about fixing our future DNA by time travelers? Tough question. Magic 8 Ball, tell me when you're ready. All right. Let's do it. Not today, Sheriff. Not today. Nope. Magic 8 Ball doesn't like that question. Giving you an absolute nope. We got aliens from space, man. All right. Persevere is asking, Magic 8 Ball, is the world 10 years into the future from now better than the world today? It all depends if Cardi B is celebrating WAP again. Ugh. Systems or sensors read no. Thanks, Magic 8 Ball. Be coming to close my 50s to another 10 years of BS. Wonderful. All right, moving on. Persevere wants to know, did humans alter the time-space continuum of aliens? Let's see where it's going. Sensors read no. Nope, it's the aliens doing it all. Kimberly is asking, am I going to get this job that I am interviewing for tomorrow? Oh, that's a good question, Kimberly. Good question. Let's hope you do. Well, let's see what the 8 Ball says. As I see it, yes. As I see it, yes, is the answer to the Magic 8 Ball. All right, moving on. Does Sasquatch know about the internet? Magic 8 Ball. It's from Philip Blair. Philip, if we get one of these silly answers here, I'm going to point my finger at you on camera. The answer is, what does that say? Hold on, I'm going to turn it around here. And of course, as much as I turn it, just the ball turns. Yes and beyond. Apparently, Bigfoot is connected to the internet. Don't know if he's a 5G kind of creature, but I guess we'll soon find out. All right. Philip is asking, is Dave drinking raw scrambled eggs for dinner right now? That is disgusting. Disgusting. Intel looks good. We know it's time to shut this thing off. When it starts trying to joke with me, time to shut it down. We got time for one more. Persevere is going to ask the next question of ye old Magic 8 Ball, because we love it around here. Will high-dimensional entities appear in our reality to the masses soon? So in other words, are the aliens coming? Let's find out. Sensors read no. Exactly what I thought. Sensors read no. Thank you to everybody taking part in the Magic 8 Ball. Let's get to the news, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the pretty cool. Yes. So let's head to Okanagan Lake, south of me about 4 hours. The copyright of Canada's famous lake monster legend has been officially transferred to the Syilx Okanagan Nation. The elusive lake beast, which is said to reside in the depths of Okanagan Lake, is a popular legend in the region, but in recent years, disagreements have arisen over exactly who it is that owns the copyright and in what way is it acceptable to commercialize it. While the Ogopogo monster can be found in today's books, tourism merchandise, and more, its origins lie much further back in time, with the legend being an integral part of Canadian First Nations folklore. It's not surprising, then, that some of the local Indigenous communities were not too pleased when the city of Vernon, nice place, still got some good water slides there, which has held the copyright since 1956, granted a children's author the right to publish a book using the monster's name as the title. The rights had been originally passed to the city by a local reporter, which came as something of a surprise to the nearby First Nations who did not know that such an arrangement had even existed. We equated it to someone taking ownership over the Bible and suddenly copywriting the name of Moses, said Chief Byron Louie of the Okanagan Indian Band. The idea that someone can take ownership of your teachings and your religious beliefs is absolutely unacceptable. Fortunately, once word of the matter got out, local council, following a vote, finally took the decision to transfer the copyright to the Okanagan Nation. That's a good move. Solid move. It's much more than just simply a gesture, said Louie. It's the city saying, this is not ours, this is yours. Ogopogo, officially part of the Indigenous culture. I love it. I love it. That's where it's supposed to be. Drones that hovered around U.S. destroyers for hours off the coast of California still remain unidentified more than a year and a half after the episode, the Navy's top officer says. Admiral Michael Gilday, chief of naval operations, spoke about the July 2019 flights at a Defense Writers Group event in Washington. Gilday said the incident and other similar sightings were still being assessed. Asked if the Navy had identified the drones that flew near U.S. warships near the Channel Islands off of South California, Gilday said, "No, we have not. I am aware of those sightings, and it has been reported there have been other sightings by aviators in the air and by other ships, not only of the United States, but other nations, and of course other elements within the U.S. Joint Force. Those findings have been collected, and they still are being analyzed." The Admiral says there is a well-established process in place across the Joint Force to collect the data and to get it to separate repository for analysis. Gilday appeared to be referring to a pending report requested by the Senate Intelligence Committee, which has asked the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Defense Department, to provide a report by June 25th on unexplained sightings of advanced aircraft and drones documented by the military. The report is supposed to examine whether foreign adversaries are behind these unidentified aircraft. Asked if the aircraft were extraterrestrial, Gilday said he had no indications of that at all. The flights were first reported by the Drive website based on the ship logs and emails released under the Freedom of Information request. Now, as many as 6 drones flew around the warships at a time in often low visibility conditions over a number of days, with the drones flashing lights and prompting security precautions on board. The drones were able to stay aloft for 90 minutes or more, surpassing the capability of commercial available drones. According to the ship logs, the drones were also able to fly at the same speed as a destroyer, traveling at 16 knots in low visibility conditions, which is defined as less than 1 nautical mile of visibility. The episode raised the possibility of a serious security breach. The drone's flights took place near San Clemente Island, which is home to sensitive military facilities, including a Navy SEAL training site, a ship-to-shore live firing range, and an airfield. The mysterious drone flights prompted immediate inquiries from investigators and intelligence officers in the Navy and FBI, including a special agent with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, the FBI field office in LA, and the director of the Maritime Intelligence Operations Center within the Navy's 3rd Fleet. Has anybody asked if they were that close, why they just didn't fire on these drones? If they're not extraterrestrial and they are coming within harm's way, why didn't they fire? The Navy could have shot one of these down if it was man-made and possibly found out who created them. That's why I'm not buying that this is something from another country. Not buying it at all. The U.S. Navy, in their own space, would have shot it down. Would have shot them down. And they haven't shot at him. Think about that, people. Think about that. The son of a California man who choked to death during an amateur taco eating contest at a minor league baseball game is suing the event's organizers for negligence. 18-year-old Marshall Hutchings' lawsuit, filed now, alleges his father, Dana, was not made aware of the risks and the danger involved in an eating competition. The 41-year-old died after choking on tacos while competing in the contest during a Fresno Grizzlies game back on August 13, 2019. Participants competed to devour as many tacos as possible during a certain amount of time. The suit names Fresno Sports and Events, the owner of the Grizzlies. "We won't be making any public comment," said Grizzlies president Derek Frank. Oh my goodness. There's a ketchup shortage, people. A ketchup shortage. Yes. Prices for ketchup packages have gone up 13% since January of 2020. Apparently, tomatoes are suffering from COVID as well. Yes, a shortage of America's favorite condiment is the latest to hit the food service industry amid an increased demand for takeout amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. See? Gone are the days of shared ketchup bottles at the table, now replaced by individual packets at many restaurants across the country. Current health and safety guidelines from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention advises restaurants to avoid using or sharing items that are reusable, such as menus, condiments, and any other food. So the ketchup is getting in trouble here. Getting in trouble. Finally tonight, A golden retriever stole the show during a Moscow weather reporter's live outdoor segment when the cute dog decided that he would steal the colorful microphone and run off with it. Nadezhda Sereskina, a weather reporter for TV station Mir 24, was delivering a live report in Moscow about spring weather in the capital when a golden retriever ran up, snatched the colorful microphone out of her hands, and took off. Sereskina was seen running after the golden retriever before the feed cut back to the anchor in the studio. The reporter turned to the screen moments later with her microphone back in her hand and the golden retriever named Martin granting her an on-air interview. The station said, "Martin is kind and playful, a playful kind of dog, and Sereskina is planning to visit the canine for a follow-up interview." I absolutely love it. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What are you doing today to make it a good day? John has a great one here. I'm going to spend some time with my kids. Great one. Davey, meditating, tuning in to the quiet inner voice that connects us all, and of course, looking forward to listening to the wonderful Geraldine Orozco. Matthew, I will be starting more seeds indoors for my garden. I just planted 4 zucchini seeds. Right on. Lori, well, let's see. Feed the horses, dehair them, clean stalls, feed and the evening burn trash, and hoover the house, change the filter on the furnace, air conditioning, clean nose prints off the window, find something for supper, watch the sunset on the porch. Oh, nothing much. Gary, pull weeds in the yard to make things look better around here. Nicole's potting some plants. Melinda, personal organizing, reading for a client, then my tour. It's a great work day. Gail, let's see, I've been up since 2:30 this morning, work on SOR a little, read the news from around the world, chatted with my kids and a favorite friend, put delivered groceries away, ate chicken wings, thought about these simple things, which for me are what makes my life happy. Nikki, protecting a friend who I worked heavily with last night to free them from some serious supernatural paranormal crap. Eric, helping strangers who won't be later, and then some pizza. Gil is decorating. We don't know what, though. He's holding out on a party for us, I think. Kevin, replaced the screen and battery for an elderly neighbor so he could use his iPhone again. Kimberly, enjoying the sun, taking some time to enjoy a nice lunch, watching my soap opera, and, watching cats and kittens on my favorite YouTube live streams. Lisa, I took my cat for a walk. Greg gets the final word. I'm finishing another sci-fi book and doing some artwork. Oh, and enjoying the warm weather. Thank you for everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the news. All of you out in our chat rooms for taking part in the Magic 8 Ball. And, of course, to Geraldine Orozco and the spiritual you. We will talk to her next month. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Spreaker, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to bring us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.